realized that if Manny and Craig would have got married, her name would have been Manny Manning. Well, I guess her real name is Manuela, but still Manuela Manning. That was terrible. She should have not liked him off the strength that their names didn't go together. Hi guys, back again for another video. It's your girl Tiana here, and today is another Degrassi video. And if you can't tell by the energy, like, I'm super excited because number one, I really just love Degrassi. Like, it's just chef's kiss, mwah. Like, it's just great. Anyway, so today we're talking about season 2 of Degrassi. If you didn't watch the episode for season 1, it will be somewhere at the top of the screen. I'm gonna do the little little eye, and it'll go straight there. And it'll also be at the end of the video if you have already seen Degrassi and you don't need to watch it in order. I do also want to say that I'm not like staying strictly like chronological with my thoughts. I'm trying to keep it like just about the season, but because I have seen most of the seasons, I do like know stuff that happens in the future. So I might bring up stuff that happens in the future. So if you've never watched Degrassi, you might want to watch it and then come back to these videos. Unless you don't care about being spoiled. And I'm one of those people who don't care about being spoiled, because I feel like even if I know like the end, like, I feel like everybody at this point knows that like Jimmy gets shot. But there's a whole arc before you get to the school shooting. Like, there's so many other things that happen, so many other things that build up to it. And to me, even knowing that Jimmy gets shot, the rest of the stuff that builds up to that is worth watching it, even knowing how it ends. And that's also why I think it's so fun for me to rewatch it, because like I said, I haven't rewatched the entirety of the show, like the whole show, since I was watching it live. Like, I would watch whenever there was like marathons. I might pop in for like a couple episodes. Last time I started to rewatch Degrassi, I think I just watched season 1 and like maybe the beginning parts of season 2. But I feel like this is the first time that I've watched the entirety of season 2 in years, like forever. And I just want to say season 2 was great. Like, season 1, like I said, was very mild. It was like a pilot. It was like a pilot season. Like, it gave you like the introductions to some characters, like let you know their baseline personality, like what you could expect from these people. It started like the threads of some friendships and plots that get carried on to season 2. I mentioned in my season 1 video that it annoyed me that in season 1 we started with the adults from the original Degrassi, and then they did nothing with them. But then in season 2, they brought those adults back and they had an episode. And then also, like, in the background of a couple episodes, I feel like it might have been 2 episodes, Caitlin was just there, like as a support system. So I guess the introduction, even though I felt like it was like boring, it was needed because it gave you background for those characters, it built those relationships, and then obviously those characters, at least Caitlin and Joey, will like have bigger parts. Joey has a bigger part in season 2. Caitlin will have a bigger part in like multiple seasons past this. I don't remember how many seasons she's in, but I know she was on and off the show all the way until the college years. Season 2 starts and ends with Craig episodes. Really the shining stars of season 2 are Craig and Paige. I feel like Craig and Paige are the ones that got the most like juicy, interesting, dynamic like storylines. We start off with Craig, and the thing that really, like, to me makes season season 1 feel like a pilot beginner, we're just getting our feet wet episode. Season is because of how season 2 starts. Like season 1 was like, these are these characters and they're teenagers and they go to high school, and you know, there's some like spicy things, but it's mostly just coming of age stuff. It's mostly just, like I said, Emma got her first period and they're going on first dates and they're having first crushes and all those sort of things, like very middle school-esque. So in season 2, we start with the older generation. That's Jimmy, Ashley, Paige, Terry, Hazel, and them. They're going to high school. This is their 9th grade year. And then Emma, JT, Manny, and Toby are all in 8th grade now. And the schools have combined. So instead of it being Degrassi Community School, I think that's what it was called, or it might have been, I don't know. I just know that it was just the middle school before on season 1, and then season 2 is a middle school and a high school. Because something happened with the high school and they combined the schools, which is not the first time they used that plot line. But anyways, so it starts off with the introduction of this new character, Craig. Craig is like hot, sexy, and all of those things. The girls are in love with Craig. And then we find out in his home life that Craig is being abused by his father. Craig like builds a friendship with Sean. And Sean ends up being the one who sort of helps him come to terms with his father's abuse. Craig is also the son of Jeremiah's dead wife. So she was married to Craig's dad before she was married to Jeremiah. And then they got divorced, and then she married Jeremiah and had Angela, who we also met in season 1. And so Craig was like sneaking to go see Angela because that's his sister and he missed her or whatever. And he was missing his mom. They was like going to her grave and all that stuff. So Sean ended up being the one that kind of was I don't know what the word I'm trying to use is, but he was the one that basically got Craig to finally be like, you know what? I'm tired of living like this. So Craig ends up telling Joey that he's being abused after trying to commit suicide. I feel like that was like grazed over, like eased over the fact that he was suicidal. Craig is a very, very interesting character. I feel like I mostly didn't like Craig. Like right now, there's no real reason for me not to like Craig. So I'm still like, I'm rewatching these shows and I'm trying to remember why like some of these characters like just left like a bad taste in my mouth. I know with Craig, it was stuff that he did later seasons. A lot of the Manny stuff, a lot of the Ellie stuff that really left a bad taste in my mouth as far as Craig. But right now, there's no real reason not to like Craig. He hasn't done anything in season 2 that will make me be like, I hate Craig. And you can say whatever you want about future season Craig or about like anything that Craig has ever done. You cannot say that's a boring character. Like they gave Craig every good storyline. Every storyline with some meat to it. Every storyline that really mattered for a male character, they gave to Craig. Like Craig was the star. It was like when you watch Glee and you like, dog, is somebody else gonna get a solo? And it's just Lea Michele every episode. Lea Michele gonna get the solo. That's how it was on Degrassi. It was like, is anybody else gonna get a good plot line? It's just gonna be Craig. Craig, the only one gonna have something to do. Anyway, so Craig's storyline. So after his dad's stuff, he ended up leaving his dad and going to live with Jeremiah. And then he was staying with Jeremiah. He had an episode where he had his friends over and they stole a car from Jeremiah's car lot and drove it around and he got in trouble. There was an episode where I don't think there was anything else that was like Craig specific. The season ends, however, with Craig's father dying. And that was like really, really touching and like, and I don't mean touching. That's not the word I meant to use. It was really touchy. There we go. It was really touchy for me, right? So I don't have the best relationship with my father. He was not abusive. It's not like that. It's just that we just don't have a good relationship. So like watching him deal with those feelings of like sadness and hurt and anger and confusion and all of that about his father dying, and not really know what to do or how to place those feelings, like, and it was like it really hit home for me. One, because of the whole, like, this whole coronavirus thing, and like me just thinking a lot about a lot recently about like how I would feel if my dad died, because we haven't spoken in so long. And like he's not like my dad's not like super old. He's not in like the really bad like pre-existing condition, like, but he is in an area where it got hit really hard. So like I've been thinking a lot about like what would I do if my dad ended up dying. It's just been like on my mind about it a lot, and I can relate to those feelings of being mad and being angry because the person that you know was put on this earth to love you and protect you and make sure you are right, like, has harmed you, and you still love them because they're your parent, but you also have so much anger about what happened or what they did. And it's just, I don't know, it just hit a little bit, it hit a little bit too close to home for me. And then also Craig's dad died in his 9th grade year of high school, and my grandmother died when I was in 9th grade. And so my grandmother, it wasn't like tortured feelings. Like, my grandmother was an angel on earth. Like, she really was the greatest human being on planet Earth. No complaints, no criticisms. Love her to death. And the way Craig dealt with his father's death was also very similar to how I was processing my grief for my grandmother, where like he went immediately back to school. I don't think I went to school the day after I found out, but I did go to school like one day before the funeral at some point. And the week before the funeral, I went to school for like one day because I was like, no, it's okay, I'm fine. Like, I don't see a point of me just sitting at home doing nothing. Like, I can go to school. And then I got to school and I was like, why am I here? Like, I was trying to force myself to make everything normal, to make everything okay again, like to get back to my routine, and I really wasn't ready to do that. And I feel like that was sort of the trajectory we saw with Craig, where they announced at the school or in his class that his father had died and he wouldn't be coming back, and then he walked in the classroom and he was like laughing and trying to make jokes to make it like normalize everything. And at the end of the day, when he was at the dance, he had a breakdown because it was like, you can't just ignore those feelings. Like, it might take a second for it to sink in. It might take a second for it to really like absorb, but once it does, it's gonna hit you like a train. And then they gave Terry something to do for the first time this entire season. And she counseled him because, you know, her mother died. And then that just reminded me in the episode when she was talking about her mother dying, that his mother died also. So, like, he has no more parents. Both his parents are dead. And he doesn't have any direct siblings. Like, his Angela is his step sibling. So that's Joey's child. And she's also significantly younger than him. I think she was supposed to be like 6 or 7 and he's 14. So he's half her age. So there's that distance, and also they don't have two the same parents, so they don't have this. It's not quite the same because she still has the dad. Like, they both lost their mom, but she was probably too young to even really understand what was going on when her mom died. They said it was a year ago, so yeah, she probably, or it might be like 2.5, 3 years ago at this point in the timeline. But she probably doesn't have a lot of like memories of her mom, so you can't even have that connection of like mourning. Like, if I had to mourn my grandmother without my cousins and my mom and all of my family like going through it with me, I don't know what I would like. I don't know how I would have made it through. So that makes it even more sad. So Craig really had the saddest storyline of everyone. So let's talk about some other characters besides Craig. let's continue to talk about new characters. We talk about two of my favorite characters on the series, and that's Manny, Ellie, and Marco. So Ellie and Marco are both new characters. Ellie was introduced as a friend for Ashley. She's also an alternative goth girl. She don't really wear all black, but just like, you know, she got the piercings, and she's a natural redhead. She's really pale because, you know, natural redhead. And she wears like chains and all of that, but she's not really like a all black everything goth, because how Ashley ended up by the end of the season. I do like, even though I hate Ashley, I do like how they like transitioned Ashley into a goth and didn't just have her come to school one day in like all black makeup. Like the last season, she was like a valley girl, perfect like princess sort of character with like the bright pastels and like the very Stepford wife almost like aesthetic. And then in this season, she was still like, at the beginning of the season, she was still giving that aesthetic with her clothes, but she got a haircut. And then further into the season, we see her hair got darker. So, and then we see her hair got shorter, and we saw like the introduction of more and more dark clothes and more like personality changes. We also saw like her poems and writings and school assignments and stuff started to get darker and more morbid. And then by the end of the season, she had a pixie cut that was pitch black, and she was wearing full-on black makeup and black lipstick and like chokers and all of that. Like they transitioned it very smoothly, and I like that. Another character they did that with was Manny. I feel like they wanted Manny to start to look mature. I don't know if they knew what season 3 had in store for Manny at the beginning of season 2, but you see like the little breadcrumbs of Manny like developing into season 3 Manny. Like we see her starting to actually physically mature, obviously, because I think they were all like around the same age as their character. So she was physically maturing because she was physically getting older, but she was also like, they were dressing her more mature and less childish, and they were giving her more mature hairstyles. They were letting her wear her hair down instead of in those ponytails and stuff more often. And then to the point where it was like, at the beginning of the season, she had like 17 ponytails. In the middle of the season, she was down to like 2 pigtails in the back out. And then by the end of the season, she was like at 1 ponytail or all of her hair down. And I was like, okay, I see how you little breadcrumbs you're starting to give us. And then also you have a scene at the end of the season of her flirting with Dean from Bordeaux, and we'll get into Dean. But we'll see her flirting with him. So we also start to see that idea of Manny wanting to be lusted after and getting her validation from male approval or male attention. So we start to even see that personality trait started to get sprinkled in. So I do like that. But we were talking about Ellie. So Ellie was introduced as a character to basically be friends with Ashley. She didn't really have much of her own plot. She only had one real plot, and that was the plot with Marco. Again, Marco was added as a character to be friends with Spinner and Jimmy and all the boys. I think the first like couple episodes that Marco was in, they were trying to like paint him as like a ladies man, and I wonder if that was to throw people off from the fact that he was gay, or if they decided later on that he was gay. I feel like it was probably like a red herring, like they were trying to throw us off. But so he was, I don't know who he was flirting with, or it was something, I can't quite remember, but it was something like flirtatious or something happened with some girl. And then he started to date Ellie, or not really date Ellie, but give her like some, like pull out some feelers for a relationship with Ellie. We also saw that Hazel wanted to date him, but he said that she wasn't his type. So at Degrassi Senior High, or whatever the freaking school name is, they had Dr. Laura, I want to say, come to their school to do their sex ed, which was like baffling to me, honestly, because I had sex ed when I was in high school in 9th grade. Well, it wasn't sex ed, it was health. And the only like real discussion about sex was just we watched the childbirth video. And we learned, babies come from sex. But like I feel like at ninth grade, I feel like that, but maybe it was just me that already knew that. But we didn't have much of a sex ed, but they had like a comprehensive sex ed. And also I think this was the second year they had sex ed. So they had a really comprehensive sex ed. They talked about even in the short little clip that we got from the first episode where they had sex ed to the second episode where they had sex ed, you can tell that it was a lot of just education that they got actually about sex. And then they also talked about same-sex relationships in their sex ed class. And they also talked about relationship dynamics in their sex ed. So not just sex, but like how to have healthy relationships. I was just really, really impressed by the sex ed that they had at Degrassi High School, because my sex ed at my high school was just non-existent. My sister, who went to a different high school but in the same county, told me that they didn't even have sex ed at all at her school. And then my other sister, she is 14 at this time, and I don't think she's had a sex ed class yet. She's not in high school yet. She goes to high school this year, so maybe they'll have sex ed but it's the same high school my sister went to, so probably my other sister went to, so they probably won't have a sex ed. But we are also in the Deep South, so that feeds into it. There probably are other places in the country that have comprehensive sex ed classes or better sex ed classes than we have here. But I just thought that really stood out to me, that they had comprehensive sex ed. Anyway, so Marco was in this sex ed class, and they were talking about same-sex relationships, and it made him think dog, am I gay? So then he went to Google how you know you gay or something. I don't know. I always wonder, and this might just because I'm straight and I've never really thought that I was anything other than straight. I never got the trope of people on shows when they Google how do you know you're gay, or how do you know you're bisexual, or how do you know you're pansexual or whatever. I guess because I've always known my sexuality, it's just weird to me that you would Google that. How would a Google search tell you, right? But then also I feel like I Google random stuff all the time, very mundane stuff all the time. So who am I to judge somebody else Google search? Because I just Google how you find the best car insurance. So some people know stuff off bat and some people don't. But so Marco was investigating his sexuality, all the while he was dealing with Spinner and his homophobia, and Jimmy with his light homophobia, and just trying to fit in and be a teenage boy. Teenage boys are terrible. I just want to put that out there. This season really reminded me how horrible, no good, very bad teenage boys are. And I'm so glad that I'm, for the most part, done with dealing with teenage boy. I have one cousin who's a teenage boy currently, but outside of him, I don't have to deal with any teenage boys. And I love that for me. I truly do. Marco was basically using Ellie as a beard because he didn't want none of his friends to really know that he was really, questioning whether or not he liked guys or not, or what was going on. Ellie was genuinely in love with him, but I think she finally figured out on her own that he just wasn't into her. She blatantly asked him straight up to his face, do you like women, yes or no? And he was like, I don't know. So they fake dated for a little bit longer, and then eventually she was like, I can't keep playing like this. Do you want to be with me or you don't want to be with me? And he was like, it's not gonna work. And I think I don't care. They never said explicitly in the episode if that meant that they were gonna stop pretending to be dating. But yeah, Ellie and Marco have one of the healthiest relationships, friendships, on the entire show. It's truly a testament to male-female platonic relationships, because, and even though Marco is gay, it's not, that don't really have nothing to do with it, because Like, they were just perfect friends. Like, I can't think of a single instance where I was like, dog, she did him dirty, or dog, he did her dirty. Like, the homophobia for Ellie did jump out a little bit, and the only reason why I want to give her a little bit of leeway with that is because her feelings were hurt, and she was more upset with the fact that he didn't love her than the fact that he was gay. So I'm trying to give her a little bit for that, just a little tiny bit, just a tiny little bit. But outside of that instance, I feel like she always held him down. She was always being a good friend. Like, she really could have turned this into a whole thing, like a whole mess. Like, it could have been, what was his name? Adam, and my heart is saying Bianca, but I can't remember. From whatever season that was, when Adam came out as trans, and then Bianca had him beat up. See, it could have really took a left turn. Like, it could have really went bad. But it didn't. So we praise God for small blessings. So yeah, that was Ellie and Marco's storyline for that whole season, really. Let me talk about some other people. Okay, so Ashley, her storyline was she was aggravating and she was going golf. And then she started back dating Jimmy. I want to talk about Jimmy and Liberty. So Jimmy and Liberty are the thirstiest characters ever, and it really irritates me because the people that they are thirsting after do not like them in the slightest bit, and the show kept putting those characters together because I don't know, but they kept putting those characters together because they felt like that's what I needed to watch. So we sat there for multiple seasons watching Jimmy and Liberty lust after these people who do not want them, who have made it clear that they do not want them, who will never love them, and give them everything that they want. And it's really upsetting me, my homegirl, and it feels like racism. Like, it feels anti-black for the two black characters that get a plot line to be lusting after two white characters that will never love them in the way that they need to be loved. Like, the JT and Liberty stuff really pisses me off because they really put JT and Liberty together. Like, they had Liberty lusting after JT from like season 1, episode 2, or something like ridiculous like that. And she really sat up there and like a little puppy dog running around, like licking his paws every time he needed anything done. She was right there. He said jump, she said how high. Like, it just really aggravated me to the point that I don't. And she finally wears him down. He finally, like, I guess if don't know nobody else knew, he done asked out Paige, he done asked out Manny, he done asked out Emma, he done asked out everybody in the whole school. Everybody saying no. Everybody breaking up with him. Everybody living their whole great magical lives. And then when he has the bottom of the barrel scraps, nothing else left, he said, fine, I'll date Liberty. Knocks Liberty up, leaves her, starts a whole drug career, right? Leaves her for Mia to go play house with Mia after Liberty gave up their baby, went to go play house with Mia. I don't have it in my entire spirit for JT. I don't have it in my soul for JT. It just, the writers gonna have to fight me over that one, because that was the worst thing they ever did to me. And then it's the same thing with Jimmy and Ashley, where it's like Ashley never liked Jimmy the same way that Jimmy liked Ashley. And I just don't understand why he couldn't let it go. Like, I don't understand why he couldn't let it go. Like, you could have dated Hazel and you could have been great and that would have been beautiful. But no, you only use Hazel as a prop. And then as soon as Ashley be like, you running right back. Like, literally. And the thing that really makes me mad, because it wasn't just Ashley. His relationship with Ashley was aggravating, but he also left Hazel for Ellie at one point. And it's like, so it's just any white girl, any old white girl, just any white girl, just any white girl. And I like Ellie, but it was just any white girl. Like, they wouldn't. And it's not like I felt like he needed to be with Hazel. Like, I felt like they could have threw her a bone. They could have gave her something to do, like, and let her date Jimmy and let that be applied. But like, it's not even the fact that he didn't date a black girl. It was just the fact that they didn't give him no self-esteem. Like, every time Ashley changed her whims, she wanted to be with him, he was there. She didn't want to be with him, he was crying and begging her back. Then she wanted to be with him and he was there. Then she didn't want to be with him no more. She broke up with him in his yearbook. He asked her to sign his yearbook and she signed in the yearbook. Nigga, it's over. Like, I will kill Ashley. Cause it's too much. It's too much. The disrespect is too much. I don't get it. It just feels anti-black. It just feels anti-black. I don't like it. It didn't sit right. Some about it didn't sit right in my spirit. It just didn't. But whatever. So that was Ashley's plot, getting on my nerves. Also, Ashley had like a side, small, behind the scenes, barely even gave it any screen time, which I love for it. Plot of her starting to like Craig and date Craig. I love that the entirety of Craig and Ashley's beginnings of their relationship was off screen. They didn't give us nothing. They didn't give us not a hint of nothing. They would just pop up every 4 episodes and we're like, oh, they're friends? And then the next time, 4 episodes later, they pop up and you're like, oh, they're like besties. And then they'll pop up 6 episodes later and are they flirting? And then in the final episode, they go on their first date, and it's just like, yes, nobody wanted to watch Craig and Ashley do anything. Okay, the less Craig and Ashley, the better. So that was those are those plot lines. I can't think of a single thing Manny did this. Not Manny. Well, Manny went on her first date with Craig this season 2. We start to see the beginnings of Manny's love for Craig. And I hate it. Also, Emma was so jealous, like, eat it up in her spirit that Craig chose Manny and not her. But like, have you seen you and have you seen Manny? That's all I'm saying. Moving on. That was really Manny's only plot, I want to say. They went on that date, and then she was just best friend TM pats on the back for Emma for the rest of the season, I feel like. I could be wrong, but I don't remember. So Emma's storyline was that her mom was getting married. Like, she didn't really have a storyline either. Her storyline was that her mom was getting married and she was annoying and aggravating and getting on my nerves and minding everybody else's business and being a know-it-all. So that was what she did this season. Running back to Liberty real quick. Liberty season 2 is the beginning of the everybody hates Liberty agenda, where everybody in the school is all of a sudden being really mean and nasty to Liberty for no other reason other than they're haters and jealous. And that is a fact, okay? Liberty has done nothing to no one, but they are so mean to her. They treat her like trash the entire show. But season 2 is really when they amp it up, and it starts with the episode when she was the captain on that lacrosse team. And my girl Liberty tried out for the lacrosse team. She didn't make the lacrosse team. Instead, they was like, listen, you're not really good at lacrosse. However, it's not lacrosse, I'm sorry, it's floor hockey. You're not really good at floor hockey. However, we want to put you as team manager so you can still be a part of the team. And instead of her being salty and shaky and like being mean and bullying and whatever else, however else anybody would, Emma would have started a whole petition and would have been like, it's not fair. You're doing this because I'm white or something aggravating like that, okay? Manny would have cried. Like, all the other girls would have threw a whole fit, but Liberty said, you know what? I'm gonna make the best out of a bad situation and I'm gonna be the best manager they ever had, okay? First duty she do when she started managing is washing the uniforms. She realized, dog, these uniforms is dusty, crusty, and need to be in the trash, okay? So she was like, hey, coach, whatever his name was, do you think we can get some money so we can get some new uniforms? He was like, well, they already did the budget. This is a new team. They didn't know that people were actually going to sign up, so they didn't put nothing in the budget for this team. She was like, well, that's not fair. The boys' team's got a whole bunch of stuff. Why can't this girls' team have it? And then he was like, well, the boys' team bring in money for the school. And she was like, I bet we going to get our own sponsorship. So she go to Jeremiah, and he like, yeah. She like, yeah, so can you give us a little bit of money, a little scratch, a little points, so we can get some new uniforms? We need a sponsor for our team. And he like, oh, I'm already sponsoring the boys team. And she like, I ain't asked you all that. I said, can you run us some dollars? He's like, well, I'm not going to do both teams because it's not, I don't want to, or I can't afford it, or whatever, I don't know. And he was like, he wouldn't give it to the boys team because the boys team already asked, and he already said that he was going to do it for them. And she was like, okay, but the boys team already got money. We don't have no money for our team, so you should get us, because they still going to have a nice uniform. They still going to have everything they need. They're fully funded. We don't have no money on our team, so if you give us money, it'll be more worthy. But he was like, no, I want y'all to compete for it. Let me tell you right now how I would not have competed for no money from no Jeremiah. I wanna let it be clear. I would not have competed. I would have said, I will run around in tattered clothing before I compete for a dime from a sexist. Because that's what it was. It was sexism. Because how you gonna say you gonna support the boys team because the boys team's won games already? And they just started. It's a new team. How would they have a winning record and it's a new team? You sound dumb. The boys already have money, so give the girls the money. Like, you sound dumb. It just don't make no sense. You sound dumb. But anyways, so she was like, fine, we're gonna do a competition. She gathered all the girls. She tried to whip them girls up in shape so they can win this money. And I just want to make it be clear that the girls, they did not win. They did not end up winning the competition from the boys. But they lost by 1 point. And I want to say that was because Liberty got those girls together. They couldn't handle the heat, okay? She said, I want perfection. Liberty was a Virgo. I know it. I feel it in my spirit. I feel it in my Shondo, is that what it's called? Whatever. I feel it in my whole body. Liberty was a Virgo. And she was like, we got to get this together. We got to get this together. She was trying to get those girls together. They couldn't handle. A lot of people can't handle Virgo energy, okay? A lot of people, they're just losers. They don't have that killer mentality. They don't have that energy that just makes them really want to go at it and really get it. They don't have that Virgo spirit, so they can't handle that Virgo spirit when they see it coming at them. So they was hating on Liberty, and everybody turned on her and was like, oh, we don't want you around. We don't want you to be our manager, blah, 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 blah. But, like, the thing is, you wouldn't even have this opportunity if it wasn't for Liberty, so be thankful, you know? Jeremiah ended up buying their uniforms anyway, even though they did lose. But he was like, he felt like it was great. And he really like loved their heart or something stupid like that, where he should have just gave them the money. But they don't have nothing to do with nothing. And all I gotta say is, y'all would have been in them same raggedy. They would have been in them same raggedy uniforms if it wasn't for Liberty. And they still try to play her out. And I hate to see it. I hate to see it. I hate to watch it. And I hate to see it. They ain't give Terry nothing to do. JT and Toby didn't really have nothing to do. They was mostly just, you know, antics. Another background relationship that we really saw, like the breadcrumbs, was the JT and Paige relationship. JT and Paige was a great friendship. They really work well together. It always felt very genuine. Again, shout out to platonic relationships between boys and girls. I feel like shows don't always do them great, but I feel like Paige and JT was a great version of a platonic relationship, even though JT was in love with Paige. Paige never reciprocated. They went on one date, but it was because she was being paid to go on a date with him. But then it was never romantic. It never got to romantic, but they always stayed good friends. Like, he wasn't like one of those people who were like, put me in the friend zone, and like, I think if I keep being nice to you, you gonna eventually date me. And then they eventually date. The show gives them what they want, or they get like a final no, and then they flip. Like, we never got that. They genuinely were just friends. At some point, he grew out of his crush on her, and they just stayed friends. So we love that representation of good, healthy male-female platonic relationships. Let me think. Hazel didn't have nothing to do again this season, but who's shocked, who's shaking? But she got way more lines. She got way more lines, and she was in more episodes. So, and I think that is it. I think Toby didn't have nothing to do. Toby got the episode where he had an eating disorder. So he did. That was his one plot that he got. So, class for him. But that was the only thing he did really the whole season. He just followed up with JT for the rest. So the last storyline that we're going to talk about is Paige. So like the Paige storyline for season 2 is her rape, and I think Paige getting raped might have been the first time I had ever seen rape depicted on TV. And I just want to be clear, I was like maybe 11 or 12 when the show came out, so it's not like I was like 45. Like, I'm sure there were plenty of shows who've done storylines about rape. I'm sure there was plenty of shows who maybe even did it better or like more sensitively or whatever. But for me, as a kid, this was my first time ever seeing rape depicted on a show. I also do want to say that I've never been raped. So, it's not something that like is personal to me, but like I mentioned I think in the last episode, in the last video about season 1, that I was not looking forward to rewatching those episodes when she get raped. And I think it's because I watch a lot of like teen drama and like women-led drama, and I feel like a lot of shows feel like rape is just an easy way to introduce trauma to the character. So I've seen a lot of shows that have added a rape storyline just for the drama, like just for the effect, just for the pizzazz of it all. But it just I don't know, it's something about those episodes, something about the episode Shout and when do we do more, or what do we do now, or what do we do now, I think is in the other episode about her rape. It's something about those episodes that just really hit home for me. It's very emotional for me to watch them. Like, I can't even really look at the screen. Like, even this time when I rewatched it, I wasn't looking at the screen when the assault actually happened. And it's not even like it's like very like brutal or like gory or anything. It's actually very tame as far as rape depictions that I've seen. It's very tame, but it's just something about it that just really, it just makes me emotional, honestly. And then the other thing that clicked, and this, I don't know why I never really paid attention. I guess because I was younger then, so they felt so much older or more mature. But it really clicked to me this time watching that she was 14 years old when this happened. Like, she was raped at 14 years old and then had to continue to live her life. Like, she had to just move on. Like, she had to just go. And like, we have the whole storyline of, like I said, what do we do now, or something, whatever the name of that episode is. When Dean comes back to the school and she has to like deal with him face on after she's been in therapy and counseling for like months and months and months and months, because that was like near the beginning of the school year and now we're at the end of the school year. So it's been months and months of her going through counseling, and we see her have to see him for the first time again and how triggering and emotional that is. Then also her having to like rehash that by telling not only Spinner but JT about her assault, and that's like to explain to people why she didn't want nothing to do with Dean. And JT was ready to go to war for her, and I respect it. I really respect it, because JT is 5'2" at tops, max, and Dean was a very stern 6'3", like, and muscular and ready to rumble. And JT was like, and I'm gonna die about it, and I'm gonna die about mine. And I felt that, like, that really, he got a little bit of respect. Look at me about to get this man one right. But he loses it very shortly, because I hate JT. Moving on. So, Paige, even with the storyline of Paige, like seeing him again and all of that, and deciding to take him to court, like, it's just the whole storyline is emotional. I don't have a lot to say. I feel like it was well done. I feel like it was like I said, emotional and touching, and like really, it just feels a lot. Like, it's a lot, but it's not so much. Like, I feel like if you wanted to have a conversation with somebody about rape, I feel like it's a great conversation starter episode, because I feel like my only like real critique is I feel like the dialogue in both the episode Shout in parts 1 and 2 and in What Do We Do Now, or whatever the name of that episode is, the dialogue is very much, we read a brochure about rape. Like, the dialogue is very much, why do you shouldn't blame yourself because it's not your fault, and it's very like ABC 1 2 3. But I feel like if you were raped, or if you like were like trying to like process your own feelings about something that happened to you, I feel like they would be good episodes to watch, because you see Paige go through that. You see Paige at first be like, oh yeah, we had sex, and then eventually be like, well, it wasn't quite like what I wanted or what I thought it was gonna be, to well, he didn't respect the fact that I said no, to her finally being able to say, I was raped. He raped me. And then also in the next episode being able to confront him and say to his face that he raped her. And be able to stand her own when he tried to gaslight and make her feel like she was misremembering or didn't know what actually happened, or tried to place the blame back on her. She was able to deflect that. So I do feel like those episodes were done really well. And then also one of my favorite Degrassi episodes was Shout Part 2, where we get another song. You know I love a song. You know I love a good song in the episode. And we get Poor Thing, which is one of my top 5 favorite Degrassi songs ever. Poor Thing is so... it's good. I sing Poor Thing all the time, like randomly. It's just such a great song. Like, I actually didn't have to get in her bag like that. I have to give her respect. Ashley was a songwriter, okay? Ashley gave us tunes. She gave us bangers, okay? So I'll give her that little tiny bit of respect for that. But yeah, so that is season 2 of Degrassi, one of my all-time favorite shows. Season 2 is a great season. I'm so excited to start season 3, because season 3 is my favorite season. Obviously, if you can't tell from these 2 videos, I'm a Manny stan. Like, I love Manny. I feel like she just is that girl. But anyway, so like this video if you like this content. Please subscribe. New video every Thursday. Maybe also on Mondays and Saturdays, but for sure every Thursday. And let me think. I do also live tweet me watching Degrassi if you want like up to date, like as I'm watching it, thoughts. I try not to say the same stuff that I said in the video on the tweets, or on the tweets in the video, because the tweets come first. So if you like started to hear me talk about something, or if you want to see if I said more about a character or their storyline, you can look at that. I'll put my Twitter on the screen, and it's always in the description box. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can also follow me on Instagram. I don't really post much, but it's there if you want to follow me. In the comments last week, I asked you to put your favorite episode of Degrassi in season 1. So in this one, I want you to give me your favorite episode in season 2. And then also I want you to tell me, who was your favorite relationship? Who is the couple that you were like, that is who I want to end together? Like, I want these 2 characters to get married and really make it work. Like, I want to see your thoughts in the comments. I was trying to like name a couple on Degrassi that I don't hate, but like I guess if I'm being honest, the only couple that I think came close to me actually wanting them to end up together, like stay together, but then when they broke up, I was like, okay, was Paige and Spinner. Anyway, that is it. That is all. See you in the next one.